welcome back to a new YouTube video. My name's Katie, I'm a full-time artist, and today I'm sharing a paint with me with a slightly different twist. So today I'm painting inspired by Cezanne. Over on Instagram I'm working with Tate this month, which is a really exciting project and I'm so honoured to be working with them. And they have an exhibition, which is the EY exhibition, Cezanne at Tate Modern, and I'm creating 3 reels for them which are going to be inspired by Cezanne's work and his techniques. Really, we want to inspire people to create, so I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in this video. But you'll have seen there that I was looking through the Tate exhibition catalogue, and I'm referencing 2 of his paintings today, Still Life with Water Jug and Grand Bouquet of Flowers. So Cezanne liked to challenge the idea of what makes a finished painting, and when I was researching all about him, I found out that he used a term called realization to try and find and feel when his paintings were done. So instead of following the conventional method, it was more about the process rather than it looking finished. And in both of these pieces, especially Still Life with Water Jug, he really left a lot of the canvas unfinished. He let parts of his process really show through, which really inspired me. So he wouldn't just cover up his sketch lines, he would keep that showing, so you saw like the full process of the painting from the initial sketch all the way through applying paint. And I really liked how that was his focus, was on the process of painting, because I think, and I have talked a lot about this on my channel before, that we can get bogged down in trying to create a perfect painting or to try and get it exactly how we want it in our head. And usually our disappointment if a work isn't going well or when we finished is because it didn't turn out how we wanted it to. So if we focus on the process and how it feels when we are painting it, I think that's a much better way to go. So I learned a lot about Cezanne in this process and creating these reels for Tate. And I felt really inspired by Cezanne. I'd heard of him and studied him at school, but I didn't know much about him. And when I learned about his process and using this term of realization, it really inspired me, and I have painted this still life using those methods. So I'm painting the view of my desk, and I did start with a pencil sketch first before going in with acrylic paint. Cezanne worked with quite a range of media, including oils, watercolour, pencil, ink, charcoal and mixed media, and he often worked on primed canvases and lightweight materials because he did work plein air, and that meant he could work quite quickly outdoors. But because I want art to be really approachable and we want people to join in this project and share their own everyday landscapes, I thought that acrylic was a little bit more accessible for most people, and I really enjoy using acrylics in my artwork. Although painting still life isn't something that I often do, I did find this as a subject quite different for me, but I really did enjoy the process. So I started with my pencil sketch and then I came in with some acrylic just to finish the sketch off. So especially on this bottom area, I didn't do the pencil first, but I really like how you can see on like the top half where my pencil lines do show through. And then I'm just using my sort of sketching with the paintbrush here, which I do in a lot of my gouache pieces as well. I'm not usually a sketcher first. I usually use my paintbrush to find the shapes. And I don't often draw outlines either, so this was a totally different process for me, but one that I really enjoyed, and I think the end result worked really nicely. I'm using a bigger brush here to fill in some of the larger areas. I didn't have a wooden desk, but I really wanted to add a contrast, so that's why I added brown behind it, and a lot of Cezanne's paintings do have a wooden surface, so I wanted to add that into mine. And then I'm just adding in a lot more colour into some of the sketch shapes that I had added in with the paint. But I'm not too worried about filling every single inch of this piece of paper. This is an A3 piece of paper that I just tore from an old sketch pad. And Cezanne often left a lot of his areas in his paintings incomplete and allowed a lot of the paper to show through. So one of the things Cezanne didn't do is erase. He didn't remove or take things away if it was wrong. He just sort of adjusted and worked over the top. So you really can see the full creative journey when he decided something was wrong, he would work over the top of that. So it's kind of like the mistakes and errors that we do make flow into the final result, and I really love that. I'm not a fan of like erasing things, which is why I don't like to sketch often, and one of the reasons why I like to work quickly is because it takes away my indecision, and I do have to work really fast, and if I do make a mistake then I have to work with it. So I really love that process, and I really like the idea of keeping it in the painting rather than like tearing it up or starting again. I know some people do that with sketchbooks. Like if something's starting to go wrong, they'll just move on to the next page or even tear it out. But I really love the idea of working with it and keeping that in there so it does show the full journey of when you are creating. So you can see I'm being quite slapdash with my paint application. I'm not doing much blending, but I am using my bigger brush for some of the larger areas like I mentioned, and keeping a really sort of scratchy method of applying the paint. I'm not doing really smooth blending because when I was looking and trying to see how Cezanne did it, I noticed that his wasn't really like blended smoothly, and I think you can see a lot of the impressionist style showing through there. So there was quite a lot on my desk. I have a lot of jars of pencils, so I kept those quite minimal. I didn't want to include all of the details, and I didn't want to get bogged down in it because I feel like that isn't quite Cezanne. And although this is very different to his style, I do think I did channel him a little bit. And I feel like the colours are very him. I really love the sort of blue turquoise shade, and Cezanne did use a lot of blue in his work. I really like the way it works with the ochre and brown shades, so there is quite a lot of warm tones to go along with it. And I do really like how it is unfinished. I really felt like I understood what he meant in terms of feeling when it was done. I was really pleased with how it was looking, and I know a lot of artists don't know when to stop. Something that often comes up is knowing how not to overwork your paintings or your pieces and knowing when to just walk away. And so I think being in tune with how you're feeling with a painting, stepping back often and seeing if it's how you want it to be and if it communicates everything that you need without filling every single inch, then I think that's what it's all about. So it's just coming in here with some final marks. You can see here where I'm being quite imprecise with my paint application and just dabbing it on the page, and I think that gave a really nice effect as well. So like I mentioned, there is an exhibition on at the Tate Modern called the EY exhibition Cezanne, and that's on until March 2023. You can see the reel on Tate's Instagram page, and there are 2 more reels going live, one this Wednesday and the following Wednesday, if you want to see more of my adventures in painting like Cezanne. There's a hashtag as well, which is #everydaylandscape, if you wanted to join in and create a piece inspired by Cezanne. It was lovely to paint a still life, and I feel like I found so much inspiration from Cezanne. So thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed it, and let me know if you learnt more about Cezanne and if you're feeling inspired. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again next week. See you later.